August 1947. After nearly 200 years of British colonial rule, India finally won its independence. But freedom came with a wound that would never fully heal: the partition of British India into two nations, India and Pakistan. Over 15 million people were forced to leave their homes, crossing new borders almost overnight. An estimated 1 to 2 million died in riots, massacres, and forced migrations, marking the largest human displacement in modern history. Entire villages emptied, families were torn apart, and the subcontinent would never be the same. This is the story of the Partition of India, the division of a nation, the birth of Pakistan, and the human tragedy that came with independence. To understand partition, we must go back to the era of the British Raj. By the late 1800s, Britain had established complete control over India after crushing the 1857 Indian Rebellion. They ruled over a subcontinent of 390 million people with hundreds of languages and religions. India was incredibly diverse, home to roughly 70% Hindus, 24% Muslims, and smaller groups, including Sikhs, Christians, and Parsis. While British rule brought railways, education, and administration, it also relied on divide-and-rule strategies, favoring some communities over others. During this period, political organizations emerged to fight for self-determination. The Indian National Congress, founded in 1885, aimed for self-rule for all Indians and was later led by Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru. In contrast, the All India Muslim League, founded in 1906 and led by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, represented Muslim political interests. While the Congress promoted unity, the League grew concerned that, in a democratic India, Muslims, one-fourth of the population, might become a permanent minority under Hindu dominance. By the 1930s, these fears had deepened. In the 1937 provincial elections, the Congress Party won control of most Indian provinces, while the Muslim League performed poorly. Furthermore, Congress governments often favored Hindu symbols and language, such as making Vande Mataram the national song, which alienated many Muslims. In March 1940, at a Muslim League session in Lahore, Jinnah made a historic declaration: Hindus and Muslims are two nations, distinct in religion, culture, and law. This declaration, later known as the Lahore Resolution, demanded independent states in Muslim-majority areas, marking the birth of the idea of Pakistan. At the time, Pakistan was envisioned as two separate regions: West Pakistan, including Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan, and the Northwest Frontier Province, and East Pakistan, over 1,600 kilometers away, which would later become Bangladesh in 1971. After World War II, Britain was exhausted, its economy in ruins and its empire collapsing. In February 1947, the British Prime Minister Clement Attlee announced that Britain would leave India by June 1948. To manage the transition, Lord Louis Mountbatten was appointed as the last viceroy. However, communal violence between Hindus and Muslims was already spreading. In places like Calcutta in 1946, the Great Calcutta Killings left around 4,000 people dead in just a few days. Mountbatten concluded that partition was the only way to prevent full-scale civil war. Consequently, the withdrawal date was moved up to August 1947, nearly a year early. A British lawyer, Sir Cyril Radcliffe, who had never been to India before, was given just 5 weeks to draw the borders dividing Punjab in the west and Bengal in the east. Each province was split based on religious majorities, but the process relied on outdated 1941 census data. Radcliffe had to divide 88 million people, 175,000 square miles of land, and thousands of villages, with almost no time to check his work. At midnight on August 14, 1947, Pakistan was officially born. The next day, August 15th, India celebrated its independence. But before most people even knew where the borders lay, chaos erupted. Entire trains filled with refugees were massacred. In Punjab alone, more than 10 million people were displaced in just a few months. Thousands of women were abducted or assaulted. Over 100,000 villages were emptied as people fled for safety. Many historians estimate between 1 to 2 million people were killed, though some suggest the number could be even higher. Rivers ran red, and cities like Lahore, Amritsar, and Delhi witnessed unimaginable horror. The partition triggered the largest forced migration in human history, even larger than the displacement in Europe during World War II. The new borders left Hindus and Sikhs stranded in Pakistan, while Muslims were trapped in India. Approximately 5.5 million Hindus and Sikhs moved to India, and around 6.5 million Muslims fled to Pakistan. The Indian government had to create refugee camps to house millions, and cities like Delhi saw their populations double within months. Mahatma Gandhi, heartbroken by the violence, went on hunger strikes for peace. Sadly, he was assassinated on January 30th, 1948, by a Hindu extremist who blamed him for being too kind to Muslims. Meanwhile, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Pakistan's founder, became the country's first governor-general, but died just a year later in 1948 from tuberculosis. One major issue remained unresolved: Kashmir, a Muslim-majority region ruled by a Hindu prince. Both countries claimed it, leading to the First Indo-Pakistani War from 1947 to 1948, which ended with Kashmir divided, a conflict that continues to fuel tensions to this day. The human cost of partition is staggering. Over 15 million were displaced, between 1 to 2 million were killed, around 75,000 women were abducted or assaulted, more than 12 million refugees were permanently resettled. The tragedy reshaped South Asia forever. Today, India is the world's largest democracy, and Pakistan remains its neighbor, tied by shared history, yet separated by pain and politics. The legacy of partition lives on, in the stories of grandparents who walked across borders, in divided families, and in the uneasy peace that defines South Asia. Partition was not just the end of British rule, it was the beginning of two nations, and a stark reminder that freedom sometimes comes with unimaginable loss. The partition of India was not just a line on a map, it was a line through millions of hearts.